Hello, Kids Ministry volunteers. It's so exciting to be going into the second half of our ministry year. I am so thankful for each of you and your investment of time and energy in the kids ministry, helping kids take one step closer to Jesus. I'm just going to take a couple minutes just to share some different things that are going on in the kids ministry, just along with just some reminders and things to think about as we think about our goal of helping kids take one step closer to Jesus. So first of all, just some things that are going on in the kids ministry. We started our 9 a.m. hour for kids in the fall. We are continuing that here this spring during the 9 a.m. hour, and that is something that we're going to be continuing to do throughout the year. We're just really excited for that opportunity to equip kids and parents just as they are continuing to learn and grow in their knowledge of and relationship with Jesus. It was really exciting to this past fall, about 50% of kids that participated in children's church also participated in the 9 a.m. hour. So we were really excited about that. This spring, we do have a couple of weeks just that we are looking for an additional person to help in the nursery during 9 a.m. So if you're interested in that, please let me know. Because we have an additional hour of kids ministry on Sunday mornings, we made the decision to change elementary children's church from K through 5 to K through 3. So fourth and fifth graders have the ability to participate and learn from the worship service with their grown-ups and the rest of the congregation on a regular basis, and then to engage in discussion afterwards with their grown-ups as well. Bright Night has also been really exciting. Exciting that friends are visiting, friends are bringing friends, and just the relationships are being built, and kids are coming from all kinds of backgrounds. The kids that are just beginning to learn about who God is, and this is their only exposure to learning about Him. And then you have kids coming in too that are learning and building on what they're learning on Sunday mornings and at home. So there's some really exciting things that are going on. And I'd love to hear the stories from you, just the ways that you've seen God at work over these past few months. A reminder about our goal in the kids ministry that we talk about often is our goal is to help kids take one step closer to Jesus. We want kids to become disciples and followers of Jesus. The most important thing in the kids ministry, whether they're coming on Sunday mornings, whether they're coming on Wednesdays, is that the kids are hearing the gospel and are learning about who God is. So since that's the goal, I want to talk about three things related to that: flexibility, expectations for kids, and just the gospel communicated through our actions. So first of all, flexibility. So yes, we do want to be as organized as we can when we're coming in to serve. And we do want things to go a certain way in the classroom and for kids to be following expectations. However, sometimes, as I'm sure all of us have stories, sometimes things don't go as planned. We get asked a question we didn't expect. We have a group of active kids who are struggling to sit still, or we have a group of kids who are so quiet and not wanting to talk. So this is a reminder just to be flexible as we serve. Take a movement break. Work on a verse while kids are jumping up and down. Ask a silly would you rather question to get quiet kids laughing and talking, and then turn the conversation to spiritual things. We can't equip for everything, unfortunately. However, relationship building is truly going to help with sharing the gospel and sharing who God is. So there are lots of different activity options for from our curriculum for leaders. For all of you, if you don't get through everything that you had planned or everything that I emailed you about or another leader emailed you about, that's okay. If you're having a great conversation about a particular aspect of the lesson, or kids are really engaged with one particular activity that relates to the lesson, that's a win. So we want to be flexible, yet we also want to have expectations for the kids. We want to encourage right behavior and right action. They have expectations at school, for example, and so we also have expectations while we're at church. For elementary kids, some of our expectations are be respectful and kind, be safe, and have fun. And preschoolers have a modified version of this. As a side note, it can be really helpful to give kids examples of what these things look like. Even ask, what does it look like to be respectful? What does it look like to be kind? A unique thing that we get to do at church is explain the why to the expectations. Why do we have rules in the kids ministry? Well, it's to keep everyone safe so that way everyone can have fun as we're learning about God together. Why does God have rules for us? And that can be a great connection with the kids. God has rules for us because he loves us and he knows how life works best because he is the creator of everyone and everything. So when we are following the expectations that we have set, being respectful, being kind, being safe, we're ultimately modeling Jesus and what we've been commanded in Scripture. For example, when Scripture says, be kind to one another, that's one of many examples. And this is also one of the ways that God has shown common grace to everyone, regardless of if they are following Jesus, because even non-believers can model these things to an extent. However, when we love and follow Jesus, we want to act how he wants us to act, and that should encourage us to live accordingly and grow in those areas. We also want to be careful as we communicate expectations that we don't communicate, you need to do these things in order to be loved and accepted by God and by me. However, as Justin Whitmell Early says in some of his books about habits, he says the things that we do don't change God's love for us. However, God's love for us should change the way that we act and live. So when people are not following expectations, or if they're doing what's right in their own eyes, as the book of Judges says, they're sinning. Kids are sinners just like us. And so when expectations aren't met, this is also a great opportunity to remind kids that none of us can follow the rules perfectly all the time. And this is why we need Jesus. Sometimes the things that we really want to see, for example, all the kids sitting together in one spot listening to the story, everyone actively engaged with the activity, that doesn't always happen. So we want this in part so there isn't chaos during that time, and that's a good thing to want. However, if a child is choosing to not participate in that way, as long as it's not a safety concern or a major distraction to other kids, this might be a time where we need to practice flexibility and still encourage them to participate with the rest of the group, yet allowing them to play or move quietly in the back or in a different part of the room. And oftentimes, kids are taking in more than we realize. The last thing I want to talk about with this is the gospel communicated through our words and our actions. C.S. Spurgeon shared in a book, essentially that if we say that we love Jesus and we're grumpy, our kids going to want to love Jesus too. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to be happy and upbeat all the time either, but it's a good reminder that kids are observing our attitudes as they consider what it means and looks like to follow Jesus. Skye Jethani is an author and speaker and said, the call to represent God in every room we enter is not just the calling of a chaplain. It's not just the calling of a pastor or a missionary or a priest. It's the calling of every human being. It's the calling of every creature God made, every creature made in God's image, male and female. We are all called to represent God wherever we go and into every room we enter. We are all called there to reflect the character of a loving, gracious, just, powerful God. I think this is just such a great reminder that all of us, whether we are coming in to serve in the nursery, in the preschool, with preschoolers, with elementary kids, in our homes, in our communities, as we're out and about, in our jobs, in our workplaces, our attitude and our actions are reflecting God's character. So some practical ways that might look like here in the kids ministry, engaging with the kids. Sit beside them on a chair or on the floor as you're able. Your willingness to learn and talk with them side by side or facing each other around a table communicates to the kids that you want to be there with them. Greet the kids by name with a smile, with a, hey, it's great to see you today. Ask about their interests. All of these different things are going to help as we build relationships with the kids, which in turn softens their heart to when we get to the Bible lesson for the day, when we're talking, having spiritual conversations. That helps soften kids' hearts, and as we are just talking about those things. So there's just some different things to say, keep in mind, to think about as we serve here these next few months of this ministry year. Just a few verses of encouragement I want to leave all of you with. 1 Corinthians 15:58. Therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know your labor in the Lord is not in vain. Also, Isaiah 55:11 talks about God saying that the word that comes out from his mouth will not return to him empty, but it will accomplish what I desire, the verse says, and achieve the purpose for which I sent it. God is at work. God is using you to make a difference in the lives of these kids, planting seeds. And I am just so thankful to have each of you on the team and excited to see what God is going to do the rest of this ministry year. Thank you, everyone.